everybody, and welcome to the Aggieville Alleycats podcast, where come rain, shine, or anything in between. We're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news you so love. I'm Ace Edwards, right alongside
Connor Baltazar.
And welcome to this week's weekly recap, where for the first time in quite a while, we have a brand new football commit to discuss, as well as two of the non-rev sports, that being soccer and volleyball. But before we get into any of the festivities for this episode, we do want to thank the sponsors of the show, and that is Greg, Arthur, and Grandma.
Thank you,
Grandma. And if you want to support the show financially and have your name read out at the beginning of every episode, please be sure to check out the official supporters link found in our podcast or Twitter bios. But let's just go ahead and dive straight into the brand new football commit for the 2025 class, and that is Brad. I'm choosing to say Stanier. It could be Stanier. I'm choosing Stanier. An edge player. He's 6'5", 235 pounds from Grapevine, Texas. In terms of other offers, the only one that on three notes are Texas State and Army. And he's not really rated by anyone except for 24/7, who gave him the token 85 3-star that pretty much everyone who commits to a Power 5 gets, except for, wasn't Toby at one point like a 2-star?
Yeah, he was at one point, and then he jumped 3-star entirely and went to 4-star. But that was a weird ranking season anyway, so.
Yeah. But anyway, what do you have on Stanier?
I really, really like Stanier, actually. I think he fits the mold of defensive end we seem to be trending towards, where he really has a good frame to grow into, because he's listed at around like 235 right now. He already does look larger than that. He moves well for his size too. He's got really good hand usage as well for his age and skill level. And then also he plays in a pretty good area of Texas high school football, because I think Knapp is from that area as well. Dalton Knapp, if I'm thinking correctly. And then Drake Beckwith is from the same area as well, who's currently on the roster. But he looks like somebody that could probably put on a pretty sizable amount of weight and continue to play at about the same level that he does right now. Kind of like Chidi Obiizor, not exactly the same. Doesn't have the same level of raw athleticism that Chidi does, but he is further along technically, I would say. He's somewhere in between, I'd say, Ryan Davis and Chidi Obiizor is as far as defensive end commitments go, because his technical skills closer to Ryan than it is to Chidi, but build-wise, he's closer to Chidi than Ryan.
Yeah, the thing that stuck out most to me with Stanier was sort of, like you mentioned, he does have the prototypical size, and he could sort of fill out. I'd say the ideal playing weight for him would probably be somewhere around like 270, 280. So, put on another 35, 40 pounds of good weight. He's almost certain he's a redshirt candidate. But the thing that I like most about his game is he does have a pretty good first step, and he does know how to sort of use his arms. He's willing to use the length in his arms to his advantage, which a lot of edge rushers, especially, trying to get noticed in high school, will sort of try to get too cute with it and, not realize that pretty much every single bit of pass rushing is at least based on power. So, and that's not to say that I prefer pure power rushers. I do prefer, at least somewhat technical pass rushers. I mean, Nate Matlick was one of my favorite pass rushers on the team for a while. He was just not a good scheme fit. But yes, Stanier strikes me as someone that he's probably going to take a little bit to marinate in the system, but he has the sort of build and the frame that you'd really want for in like a 3-3-5 end.
Yeah. And supposedly he was somebody that really showed out in the camps over the summer. It was kind of a standout there because and in the past we've been pretty willing to offer those camp guys, and have gotten a few gems out of there as well. So the coach has been pretty decent evaluating there. So if they pick up on a camp guy that they really like. Generally, I think there's some reason for at least some optimism. It may not be an immediate impact, but a lot of those camp guys take a little bit of time. Like you said, he may need to marinate, but I see no reason he can't be a contributor with a few years of development.
Yeah, no, he's definitely someone I'd put like in the almost certain to be a contributor category. Hello, Wonk. But that's my cat. But I'm not saying this for your benefit, Connor. Sometimes people skip around episodes, but but yeah, welcome to the family, Brad Stanier. That's another really solid commitment. There's another one hopefully coming up in the very near future that I feel like is borderline public information, but we're not going to say it. But it's still very, very exciting. But now we can move into the Soccer Cats, who we actually have some pretty good news with in this episode, with one victory and one tie. And the first victory was a 3-0 victory up against South Dakota, who went into this game 2-0. I believe that's how you read it. Is the middle ties? I think the middle is ties, right?
The middle is, I think so. I think it is tied. Well, I always forget. No, I think the middle's losses.
Okay, then they were 2-1-1. But, this was a pretty good victory for K-State. I mean, there's very little things in the way of bad victories, but all of the scoring was done in the second half in the 64th, 78th, and 84th minute by K-State, by Allison Marshall, Andrew Moeller, and Langley Myers. So, and of course, you have the more general stats, which Connor can cover. But again, always very, very reassuring to get victories, especially staying at home.
Yeah, I'm pleased to see us go on a little home winning streak. We had a couple of games that we really, 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 really needed to win with Green Bay and South Dakota, and we pretty comfortably took care of business in both of them, which is not something that we've been able to say a lot of in the past few years with this soccer program. But two pretty emphatic victories here. A 3-0 win over South Dakota, all of those goals coming in the second half. The true freshman, Allison Marshall, she's been really, really good this year. I've heard her mention on the broadcast that she, I think, was the 2-time Nebraska Gatorade Player of the Year. So a bit of a decent recruiting win there. I'm shown that she has some really great control and shooting ability. And so she's got 2 goals already this year. And then Andrew Moeller gets her first, as well as Langley Myers. K-State, 9 shots in both halves and finishing with 18, if you can do basic math, and then 8 total shots on goal, holding South Dakota to just 7 total shots, 2 of them on goal. K-State fouled a ton in this game, though, 17 fouls to just 6 for South Dakota, which is something we've seen a bit of in the past from K-State. However, they only end up getting a yellow card once on this one. That was Kieran Singh in the 81st minute. South Dakota picked up a couple yellow cards of their own, so K-State was a lot more efficient with their foul usage. They weren't booked as often as USD was. But again, a pretty comfortable win here for K-State. It seems like once the offense started, it wouldn't really stop. And also, funnily enough, even though it's September, this was a senior day match for K-State. Normally, that's the last match of the season, but K-State instead opted for the last non-conference match of the season. So that a little unusual choice. Generally, you go for the end of the year. But I just thought that was interesting. There's no rule saying that you can't do that. That's just not common practice is all.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird.
Yeah. But that win moved K-State to 3-2-0.
So the last one is ties, so the middles are losses.
It must be then.
We're professionals. Trust us, we're professionals.
Well, that's the thing is that. Well, yeah, the middle one is losses. That's what I said, I thought.
I think I said the opposite, which
Oh, because I went to last year's schedule and it was 3-12-3, and I was like, well, I know we didn't tie 12 games, so it's probably losses. Uh, Using a little deductive reasoning there, but
yeah. But again, it was a good victory for K-State on their senior day, even though the senior day was early. And then the other match was up against Arkansas State in Jonesboro, who went into this game 2-1-1. K-State ends up tying them 0-0. So, really, really eventful matchup down in Jonesboro today.
yeah, I was able to catch some of the second half of this one. And from what I can tell, Arkansas State is a team that really prides themselves on defense. In fact, through their 5 or 6 matches this year, for Arkansas State, that is, they've only allowed a single goal. And that one goal was in their lone loss. It was a 1-0 loss to Louisiana Tech. So this is a team that doesn't give up a lot of goals. K-State had some really good chances in this one where they got very close to converting, and a couple of times it was just really great defending or goalkeeping by Arkansas State to keep K-State from breaking the ice there. Arkansas State had a couple of solid chances as well, and a few where they nearly scored too, but both goalkeepers ended up playing really well. And sometimes you're just going to have games like that where the chances just don't break your way, but they don't break your opponent's way either. And you just kind of have to shake hands and say good try and then leave.
Yeah.
So nobody really walks away super satisfied, but going on the road at all and picking up any points, that's pretty good for K-State. Points for the draw, that is. But I'll get into some of the more specific stats here. K-State finished with 12 shots to Arkansas State's 7. They had K-State, that is, had 6 shots on goal to Arkansas State's 3. All of those shots on goal were saved. Corner kicks, K-State had 3, Arkansas State had 4, and not a lot of fouls on this matchup. The bit that I was able to watch was extremely physical. There probably should have been more fouls being called, but it ended up with K-State being called for 6 fouls and Arkansas State for 7, but it definitely could have been more based off of the bit of the game that I watched, which was a little bit interesting and is, I guess, kind of the pace of soccer that I somewhat prefer. I'd say, like, I think there's a decent argument for either. Like, I think letting them be more physical disincentivizes flopping, which, again, flopping in the women's game for soccer is pretty much non-existent. Like the men's game, it's constant, but the women's game, like, it just doesn't happen, which is kind of odd that there's it's a weird dynamic between,
Yeah.
it's very disparate between the two genders there for fouls. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word, but in our case, they comes away from a at least conscious Arkansas State team with a solid result. But they're coming up here. They're pretty close to the end of non-conference play now.
Yep. Only one match left in non-conference play, and that is a 10 a.m. bout this Sunday up against Memphis. Yeah, I may be awake for that. I don't know.
I have a wedding the night before that I'm attending.
You will not be awake.
I probably no, I'm not going to be.
But after Memphis is the opener to conference play, and that is Colorado coming to Boosier Family Park, and that is a 7 p.m. kick for September 12th. So if you're coming up for the game, you're going to get there a day early for the Arizona game. May as well drop by the soccer stadium just to see what you can see.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, I'm checking on Memphis right now, and they've started out their season really well. They're 4-0 right now, and they have 3 wins over power conference teams: Mizzou, Ole Miss, and Iowa State. They've all beaten. So I am a little worried about our chances against Memphis, but I won't write us off yet.
Yeah. It would be a solid result to draw. And if we win, it's a party.
That'd be even solider. as they say.
But that's it for the women's soccer team. Now we can move into the Volley Cats, and not gonna lie, bit of a disappointing start for the Volley Cats. After a pretty good and competitive match up against Purdue, we're gonna just do an overview. Really, like, they lost to Purdue 1-3, but they were in every set pretty comfortable. Like, there was not a set that they lost that was more than 4 points off, that's just tough luck. And then dropping to UC Davis the next day, it's brutal. Like, sweeping UMBC and, in fact, embarrassing UMBC is cool, but did I expect us to beat Purdue? No. I'm happy with picking up a set against Purdue and being competitive in all the rest of them. I think that's fine. That's a result I'll take. It's the loss to UC Davis that really kind of derailed the initial hype train that I had. But we can go through game by game here and then talk holistically. But like I said earlier, K-State did drop the first match of the season 1-3 to Purdue. Purdue ended up taking the first, third, and fourth sets 25-21, 25-22, and then 25-23. K-State pretty convincingly won the second set 25-18. But again, it just wasn't enough to pull away from Purdue, which, I mean, Purdue's the number 8 team in the country, and this is their arena. So you have to take us picking up a set as a victory, and you were at max like 4 points away from picking up another set as well. So it's not like we oopsie daisied our way into winning a set. No, like, we were in every single one of them, which is encouraging. But Connor, you have the other stats and more general thoughts.
Yeah, really disappointing to get as close as we did to winning, because if you total up the points from the 4 sets, Purdue only scored 2 more points than K-State across the 4 sets, because K-State had that one dominant set and Purdue won somewhat comfortably the first set, but those last 2 were pretty close, and K-State even had some leads pretty late into them. In fact, I think that first set they maybe even led for a while, and Purdue just kind of had a furious comeback. Yeah, K-State led that one 21-20, or 20 to no, it was tied 21 all, and then Purdue went on a 4-point run there at the end. But still, there were some good individual performances, though, from K-State in this match. Izzy Shorshevsky, she gets credit with 49 assists on sets, just 2 setting errors. Had a few blocks as well, including a solo, and then 10 digs. So she did a little bit of everything. She also had 3 kills, and a very, very, very effective day for Izzy Shorshevsky. And then otherwise, Meg Brown, her first match as a Wildcat, she finished with 16 kills and 7 errors on 32 attempts. So she did really, really well. And then Aaliyah Carter also was effective, had the most kills on the team with 21, then had 11 attack errors on 49 attack attempts. So pretty solid numbers there. Jordan Williams, the Kentucky transfer, 5 kills, 2 errors on 13 attempts. Had a couple of service errors, a couple of digs, a couple of blocks. Ella Larkin had 20 digs. She's the LSU transfer. And Brenna Schmidt, she had a few digs, also had 3 blocks. She's there in the middle. And she also was 4 of 10 attacking with no errors. And Shaylee Myers, 3 kills on 10 attempts with 1 error. So Shorshevsky, Meg Brown, Larkin, Aaliyah Carter, some really good individual performances from K-State in this first matchup. And K-State hit 203 as a team to 234 for Purdue. But K-State did have 3 more kills. The issue really was just attack errors. 25 for K-State to 18 for Purdue. And this
There was
one,
also a bit of a blocking disparity, 6 to 17, but
yeah, definitely a big difference there as well. I guess the best part of that played in K-State's favor was the 6 blocking errors for Purdue, just 1 for K-State. But Purdue was definitely more effective in protecting the net at the very least. But K-State really hung around in this one. 3-1, I don't think tells the full story here. This is a match that K-State very well could have won, but just came up a little short.
yeah. The next matchup against UC Davis was quite frustrating, to say the least. K-State ends up falling 3-2. UC Davis took sets 2, 3, and 5. They took those 25-20, 25-23, and then 15-13. K-State ends up taking sets 1 and 3, 25-20, or 1 and 4, 25-20, and then 25-14. So this one was quite frustrating to follow. I think is probably the most generous way to put it.
Yeah. I think the most telling thing here is K-State throughout the 5 sets, they scored 106 points, and UC Davis scored 99. But K-State still comes out on the losing end. So that's maybe a bit of a common thread through these first 2 games. K-State is having moments where it's pretty much unstoppable. It's like in this match, the 4th set, K-State just absolutely dominated, 25-14. There was nothing UC Davis could do. The issue, though, is consistency. And K-State, through these first 2 matches, didn't really show it. K-State won the first set 25-20, dropped the second 25-20, then loses set 3 25-23. Then, like I said, they blow out set 4 25-14, but then they lose the tiebreaker 5th set 15-13. So really, really tough result for K-State against a UC Davis team that we should have been able to overcome. This one hurts a lot more than the Purdue one. The Purdue one you can live with. The this one though against UC Davis,
it's just annoying. It's just really annoying, and it's really disappointing to, because this is a better team than sort of losing to UC Davis just by virtue of the talent, but they did show off a lot more of that talent in the 3rd game up against UMBC, where they proceeded to pants UMBC, again, sweeping them 25-14, 25-9, and then 25-14. So it's not really what you want to see if you're a UMBC fan.
No, I think that match can probably be labeled as K-State taking out its frustrations on some poor golden retrievers. But yeah, this was a convincing K-State win against a team that's just not very good. So there's not a ton to take from it other than it's nice to get the first win of the season. 25-14, 25-9, 25-14. I mean, that's just complete and utter domination. I mean, to hold, even for one set, to hold your opponent into the single digits, it's not easy to do. You kind of have to be trying to humiliate them.
Yeah, there's extra effort being put in there.
Yeah, Aaliyah Carter was just unbelievable in this game. 15 kills on 21 attempts with 0 errors. It's a hitting percentage of 71.4%, which is just bonkers. But for reference, she hit 13% in the loss to UC Davis, and she also hit 20.4% in the loss to Purdue. So 71 is just kind of crazy, particularly on the volume of attacks. Liz Grukorski, she was used more attacking in this game as well. 7 kills on 20 attempts, just 2 errors. She added 12 digs too. Izzy Sholshevsky had 32 sets in this, or 32 assists in this one as just the 3 sets that we played. 2 kills as well. Meg Brown, 6 kills. Jordan Williams, 4 on 9 attempts. Brenna Schmidt had 5 kills on 8 attempts, so she did pretty well in her own right. K-State had a combined 22 assisted blocks across his team, and Izzy Sholshevsky, Jordan Williams, they each had a solo block. So, I mean, this was a game where it seemed like K-State really flexed his athletic talent and showed off a little bit. And luckily was able to get out of Indiana with a victory. Even though they weren't able to get Purdue and they dropped one they shouldn't have against UC Davis. Better to leave 1-2 than 0-3, but definitely left something on the table.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to put it, is they left stuff on the table. And to me, that's probably more frustrating than just being bad. And I want to clarify, this team is not bad. I think this team is actually quite good just by virtue of the talent that is on it. But the next matches for K-State are Friday and Saturday, or the day this releases and the day after this releases, up against number 20 USC, Friday at 4 on Flow Sports, so no one will ever be able to see it. And then up against number 11 Crichton, 2 p.m. on that Saturday. So again, no one on earth will ever be able to see it. So the game may as well have never happened. But after that, it's up against Lipscomb in hopefully what is a revenge game for K-State from last year on the Thursday. And then that's K-State's tournament in the Morgue. So again, not the greatest start. In fact, a pretty disappointing start. But the potential for getting right back onto the horse after falling off up against USC and Crichton is right there.
Yeah, I think that's the best part of this schedule is, we dropped some games that my bad.
I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to let that be our little secret. But
Sarah's headed to Panda Express, in case you were wondering. But
okay, that's good to know.
But the good part of the schedule is that even though we do have a disappointing loss here, we still do get the chance to bounce back and get some quality RPI building wins. Because last year our non-conference just wasn't that good. So like, if we had like a bad loss, there wasn't really anything to do about it. We were just kind of, that sucks. But
anyway,
this year though we'll have plenty of opportunities against conscious teams in the non-conference. We just need to beat one of them first. But 2 really great opportunities this upcoming weekend.
Yep. I agree. You have any final notes before we sign off? Because that's the last of the news.
I've got nothing else.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. If you want to follow or contact the show, you can follow us just about anywhere at Aggieville Alleycats. And if you want to email us, we're AggievilleAlleycats@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on a more personal note, I'm at ACEdward00.
I'm at Connor Baltazar, capital C, capital B.
And if you want to support the show financially, please be sure to check out both the official supporters link and the merch store in our podcast and Twitter bios. But most importantly, thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. Where come rain, shine, or anything in between, we're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news that you so love. Stay safe, Alleycats.